I wanted to talk to you about changes in society in light of this new research in physics. It's called robust entanglement or elastic communication. And it describes not a kinetic environment. Nature isn't revealing that to us. It's a passive, elastic process where things um, find symmetries as they sit in space. And when symmetries are found, they create fields. And fields are the source of all motion and movement. Now, the fields that are created are unique, and they have to do with the distance that things entangle. And as different fields with different rate densities are produced, atoms are captured and move within these fields. So there are four different or distinct rate or distance classes. What we see in history and of our science in electromagnetism, strong, weak, and gravitational phenomenon. Now, Einstein said that there was a spooky action at a distance. He called that entanglement, and that's just not the way things work. They're passive processes, and they create everything that we see and do. Everything that we see, from lightning to fireballs to the thoughts that are produced in our minds and bodies, and a lot of these notions have a religious origin. The Hebrews said that faith was a type of observation. Well, this new physics, provides for two distinct thought processes. One that's instant or fast, in elastic communication. Remember, cerebrum is perfectly suited to cerebrum to create entanglements. And the other thought process is sensorial or electrochemical. So it's very slow in comparison. It actually travels, atoms move along an action potential. What this new science then does for us is allows us to merge science and religion. It gives us understanding of faith or observation, because now we're able to understand observation itself. Of our five senses, we can watch the things around us happening, but also helps us understand things like God. When fields are produced, they're created from nothing. That which is created from nothing is a notion of God. God in things, in nature, God in self, as a Holy Spirit, made up of a Trinity, with God, the Father, and the Spirit. In the physics, we see a Trinity as well. We see two partners, two locales, that match up and form an entanglement that creates a field, a Holy Spirit, if you will. And so this is kind of the nature of things. Grace is a concept that has to do with small changes, kind of like chaos theory. But when you meditate and you align neurons adapt, okay, and they build new connections, and so when you build good connections, small changes, small thoughts can create huge somatic changes, okay? When you're actually, and this is kind of a physical thing, but when you're stressed out, and we'll talk about what creates this, but you're more of a tangled mess, and thoughts themselves can't have any effect, so to speak, so you don't have very much grace. Prayer becomes this tool that we use to align ourselves to the environment, to others, to God, with God. So it's an exercise, it's an actual tool. But there are some things that we're going to need to do in society to help us to align our human condition with each other and with nature, so that we're not so destructive. And one is that we're going to outlaw corporations. And the reason we're going to outlaw corporations is because corporations do harm to both people and the environment. Corporations use tax law, not morality or ethics, and were designed in the 1600s to protect wealthy investors for losses incurred in the slave trade across the ocean. Has been used since then to create wealth, great wealth for a few families in Europe and the United States. And what you see also in the corporation are extremes in prices and in behaviors, polluting behaviors. There's not much that we have that corporations haven't destroyed, from waterways to land to air. Everywhere we look, we see waste. And philosophically, and even more physically, in the family, in the church, in the schools, corporations have this divide and conquer. Prisons, they have this divide and conquer means and way of conducting business that lays waste to all that we love. And so we're going to outlaw corporations, and the way we do that is just we simply write them out in Congress, and in other countries we simply write them out of our laws with just a pen stroke, and we preserve business itself and family business, small business, and then prices and values and actions then will match local and personal, familial needs. Let's see, what else are we going to do? We're going to invert the hierarchy of power in governments worldwide. And the reason we're going to do this is that the leaders of states and nations and countries, they have no humility. And so we're just going to, with a pen stroke in legislation, we're going to invert the hierarchy of power so that we will then, in democracies, will vote upwards for issues so that local leaders will get together to make decisions at the next highest level, and so on, from state and then to federal. And we'll achieve a certain balance, something that we need and we love. So we have wonderful structure in government, and we need structure. We need all of these agencies and things like that. But we don't need is the destructive, man-made, egotistical, me results that we have today. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to have public hearings. As we outlaw corporations, we're going to have public hearings for all corporate boards and officers and major investors. Some of these families, Rothschilds and Rockefellers and Harrimans, Browns. We're going to hold them accountable, and this is going to heal society. Yeah. These changes would not be possible without the revelations that we have now in physics. This physics is going to allow us to have free energy and cure disease, and help us to merge science and religion and understand self. But most importantly, this free energy will allow economies to thrive. Costs of running businesses will be much cheaper, and we'll have technology that we've only ever dreamed of having. Anyway.